And now, coming to you live from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California, it's the Sheena Metal Experience with your host, Sheena Metal.
Hi, and welcome to the Sheena Metal Experience, only on Parapod TV, on the Roku channel, iHeartRadio, and more. I'm your host, Sheena Metal. I'm a psychic medium and energetic healer. I'm an interfaith minister. I'm a 29-year talk radio host in Los Angeles and beyond. I'm a creative and a performing artist, and I come to you live from my home in Southern California every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. This show is about many things. It can be about spirituality, creativity, humanity. It's always about passion. It's always about service. It's really about becoming and then maintaining being your best you in this big, beautiful world. And then most importantly, inspiring others to do the same. And it may be my show every week. It is the Sheena Metal Experience after all, but that doesn't mean it's not always and forever your experience. My guests today are making their debut on the show. Very, very rarely do I get to say that I'm having folks on the show that I don't know. And I love that because that's how you make new friends. They are super awesome and are on July 26th. We'll be opening the Watch Me Sports Bar in Long Beach, a bar that is about women supporting women, a safe, fun place for women to go and enjoy sports and libations and all kinds of fun stuff. So excited to have them here and to talk about the opening and the new venture. Please welcome to the show, Jackie Jax Diener and Megan Emme Eddy. How are you both? It's so great to have you here. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
That's right. We're getting close. Are you getting butterflies? You're getting so close.
We have all the things happening right now, as you might imagine. No sleep. Let's see. We got skunked this morning when we got up at 5 a.m. So that happened on top of everything.
Poor dog.
Yeah. So in addition to all the things of getting the place together. So yeah, we have a lot going on.
You know, this is such an exciting thing for a lot of reasons. And I think we'll talk about all those reasons in this next hour. First and foremost, just from a humanitarian perspective, people need to go out. I mean, we need to be in public seeing people face to face. The internet is a miracle and it's brought us all together in so many ways. It's a great way to promote your stuff. It's a great way to meet new people. It's a great way to have friends all over the world. It's a beautiful thing. But human beings, you know, we're mammals and we need to have that congregating in the same place kind of a thing. And unfortunately, I think that one of the things about the internet that's not been so great is it's made people very insular, and it's made introverted people kind of more introverted. And then COVID came and changed the game for all of us. So I think now, because of that, post-pandemic, more than ever, we all need to get out and be in each other's presence physically. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. You know, there's nothing like being in other people's energy. It makes a huge difference. You can have this cool connection over a computer, but it's an enormous difference to be in someone's energy, to be face to face, to have, you know, hug somebody, cheer with somebody. It's a big difference. Yeah. So we all need to do it. We spent a significant amount of time behind closed doors as well during the pandemic. And it was like, thank God we had each other because and our dogs.
Now, thank God we had pets.
Yes.
I think our pets got us through the pandemic. Our furry children got us through the pandemic.
All the rest. All of them.
Yeah. And all the rest. Yeah. Was it during that time, during the pandemic, that you began to come up with the idea to put this together? I mean, because the pandemic gave us a lot of time to think and sort through our stuff and dream and think about what the next step in our lives were, right?
Yeah. For us, actually, what we did during the pandemic was buy property in Italy.
That's right.
That was where we felt we thought, hey, we're isolated as it is, and maybe we'll retire there. And so let's just kind of do this. And so we did.
We got a great deal.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. But,
that's right. Okay. The next time you come on the show, we talk Italy.
Yes, exactly. Well, the short story is we don't have that property anymore, and we parlayed that return into the business. And so this was actually like a dream of mine many, many moons ago to open a sports bar. It wasn't about women's sports back then because women's sports weren't on TV. It wasn't even a mention. It was just about having a space where women could go and find that community and camaraderie. And when Jenny Wynn opened the sports bra up in Portland in 2022, that was when we really started talking about it. And one day, Emme looked at me and said, maybe now is when we do the bar. And so it was a little bit after the COVID time, COVID time. But we said, yeah, let's kind of be inspired by that concept and go do it on our own.
I think that's so wonderful. And so let's talk about women's sports a little bit. And we'll go back to we're going to go back to everything. I think it's going to be a jump around show because my brain is spinning like a hamster on a wheel right now. So many years ago, how many years ago? I would say 20 years ago, I was doing talk radio on what was then the FM talk station, Howard Stern in the mornings and Tom Leykis in the afternoons. And there were two girls on the whole station, and we had a show together. They stuck us together, and I was one of them. And I remember listening to a show that Tom Leykis was doing, and it was about sports. And actually, he was being very women's empowering, which he was not always. About how, women's sports are out there, but most women go and support sports that men are playing instead of going and supporting sports that women were playing. And that if women supported women's sports more, there would be so many more butts in the seats, and that would raise the profile. And then with the raised profile comes more of the media attention, more of the televising everything. And that always stuck in the back of my mind. And I'll tell you, I'm not a sports person. I love the Olympics. I'm obsessed with the Olympics. Throughout the year, I'm not terribly sportsy, but I occasionally. But I started thinking about that, and I thought, I thought about how many women friend of mine, queer, straight, and otherwise, spent all their times going to Angels games, Dodgers games, Rams games, and not going out and supporting the women's teams. And being a woman in radio, a huge minority that we are, I was thinking, you know what? Yeah. And a lot of women listen to men's radio shows, and oftentimes women do not support women. And I think that hopefully that's something in the last 10 years or so, we're in a big shift with that. But I mean, have you growing up, obviously you guys are probably more sportsy than I am as people. Has that been your experience your whole life that women are always like, come on over and, let's watch the Dodgers. And you're like, wait a minute, what about what about the girls?
Yeah. Hey, so much is about marketing, right? Everything's been marketed towards men forever. And so that's why women's sports wasn't on TV when, in 1997, for example, when the Sparks, Penny Toller shot the very first WNBA basket. I was at that game. I became a season ticket holder. I was so excited and amped up, and I came home that night to see the news, and there was not even a mention of the Sparks in the WNBA. I mean, it wasn't even like this consideration. And so I think time has, like the 99 team and some of these other 2016, we've had some game changers. It's been a movement. It's been a progression. And I think the marketing is changing now because I think people are actually starting to see, and there are more women in the workforce in positions to make decisions. And that's changing the game too. So you're going to see more women marketing to women's leagues and sporting events, and that's helping to kind of spawn the butts in seats. To your point,
the more butts there are in seats, the more money there is to create leagues, to create paid, well-paid players, equally well-paid as the men's teams. And it just grows from there. I mean, there's no stopping it. It just perpetuates itself. But I don't think that women are to blame for not supporting women in any way. Yeah. I think it has been unavailable by media companies that have been run by men. Sorry.
No, but I agree with you 100%. And I will also say that I think that we as women need to make an effort to support women.
Absolutely.
Go and find it and support it, whether it's music, whether it's, films directed by women, television shows created by women, sports with women, political candidates that are women. And it doesn't mean you have to only vote women or only support women if it's something you don't like.
Right.
But there's so many great things out there being done by women now. But I think we're sort of, and not to get too socio-political, but I think throughout the years we've been sort of culturalized not to support things that women were doing. And you're right, the media slanting us towards not doing so. So it's a habit we have to get into and get used to, right?
Yeah, it's change, and people have a hard time with change, and that's what's happening right now. We're in the thick of this women's sports movement and women's sports bar movement, and this has changed. It's hard for some people to understand. We're getting some people who are sending us lovely comments and messages on our social media because they don't understand the change. And all we're trying to do is create a space where anybody who loves women's sports can come and watch a game and cheer on their athletes. And so, we're guess what? We're coming. We're not going anywhere else. We will actually put up our permanent signs. We will be here for longer than a month or two. And and we're going to be the change that some people are going to have a hard time with.
You see, and it's so funny to me. And maybe it's because I was one of those people that had, I'm a Gen Xer, and I had an amazing mother who raised me sort of not to see gender and not to see color, and, bless her for everything wonderful that she was. But I've never understood this mentality, the scarcity consciousness, right? As the Buddhists say, that if you're putting up a bar to support women's sports, somehow that's taking away from sports with men. And it certainly isn't. I'm sure as a sports fan, you enjoy teams that have guys. We all enjoy things that have guys. Guys are great. They're on the earth too. Who's
of course.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we are huge Seattle Seahawks fans. So you better believe that we will have the NFL on in here. I can't guarantee it's going to be more than one TV that will have a game on, but because we're predominantly women's sports, and that's what we want to do is celebrate those games that are on. But we appreciate the NFL too. We love sports in general. We love competition. Emme has been the biggest fan, even though she hasn't been on the athlete side of things. She's been a fan. She understands that camaraderie and that when the whole bar is cheering and opposing sides and things like that. And that's all we're trying to create. It's Dodgers will be on in here too. But predominantly women's sports.
Yeah, I mean, the culture, and by the culture, I mean every other bar in the state of California, for instance, plays all the men's games, right? They don't play the women's games. They're getting the hang of it. Caitlin Clark is doing some things.
Good for her. Yeah, rock on.
Yay, Caitlin. But, that's one person in a sea of women's sports. And so those bars are, mostly not predominantly men's sports. They're men's sports. They're all men's sports. And if you go in and you ask somebody, can I please see the soccer game? It's the World Cup final of the women's team. They put you in the very back, in the cracked TV with no sound. So we're just flipping it. We're flipping it. We are honoring all the sports on all the TVs. And if there is some great thing happening with the local men's team, we will have that on. It probably won't get the sound. They can go anywhere else. They can go anywhere else.
Yeah, every other bar.
Literally anywhere else. Yeah.
In most places, if you want to watch the women's sports, it's now in the women's bathroom with the 12-inch TV.
That's right.
Go enjoy it in the stall.
Yeah, we've gotten some interesting comments about one 26-inch TV in here, and guess what? We're going to have 26 giant TVs in here. So it's going to be. I think there will be some shocked people out there.
Now, are you shocked? Not to dwell too much on the negative, but I gotta ask: were you shocked by those comments? You're like, we're just a couple of chicks opening up a bar. Like, why would anybody have a problem? If you don't want to watch women's sports, then go next door. I mean, what would be the problem?
That's an excellent question, Sheena. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's unbelievable the comments that you get.
I'm actually shocked, and it takes a lot to shock me.
They're sitting on the couch. You know the deal. They sit on the couch and they
bullies.
They can't believe that they've said crazy things like, "Oh, I bet that's funded by men," which is absolutely not true.
Very false.
We will never be retiring on account of it's not funded by men.
Right.
It is 100% funded by us. But it's just like she was saying. I think it's change. People can't, they don't like change. They don't like to be threatened in any way. Some people have a real hard time, just saying, hey, I wish you guys the best of luck. They understand it's not the entire market of the, United States of America. Nope, we don't have that luxury, but we're doing just fine. We have more supporters than you would believe right now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that at all. I think that's wonderful. And I understand that there's always competition when there's new kids in town opening up something new.
We're not a threat. We're not showing the same thing.
Human beings get butthurt very easily. But I think that we're seeing from this, and again, not to get too sociopolitical, I say as I do, we're seeing from this that misogyny is still a huge problem in our country. And I will just speak about our country because this is the only country I've ever lived in, but probably I could add to that on the earth. And it's something that we need to fight, not with militancy, but with positivity, right? The more women-owned businesses they are, the less people can complain. The more it becomes not an anomaly, the less complaints there will be. People get used to things when they see things. You know what I mean? It used to be, I remember when I grew up, I lived in Baltimore before we moved to Southern California in the late 70s. And in Baltimore, they wouldn't even show soap because of Billy Crystal's gay character.
Yeah.
Now you turn on these TV shows that are all like the teenagers and the 20-year-olds. There's like 50 gay people on every show.
Yeah. It's great.
So once you get used to something, it becomes not a big deal.
Yeah.
And it becomes an accepted thing. People are very fearful of what they don't know. And for some reason, and we don't know why, because women have owned businesses since the beginning of time, but there is something about a woman-owned business that sometimes makes people a little bit nervous. And
one of the things I've kind of recognized is that you really start to see who's more evolved than someone else in this process. And those that are more evolved are these supporters and don't feel the threat. And they're the ones who understand that, we're just trying to create this cool space, hopefully, that everybody can come in and enjoy. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter your gender. Just come on in and support women athletes who are killing themselves out in the field or the court or wherever they are.
Our young girls. We're girl dads. Bring them in, It's great for them to be able to see themselves,
I agree.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Now, Jax, Emme said something earlier. Is your background in sports? Did you grow up an athlete?
Yeah, I was the 5-year-old out on the only girl on the kickball field, saying, hey, put me in. So I was out there with the boys. And then as soon as my parents would allow me to, I joined AYSO. So I was a soccer player for many, many years and played in adult leagues. Back then, they didn't have pro women's soccer. And so I opted not to even try for college soccer at that time. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I did, but I did not play college soccer. I also played softball. I started that softball in about junior high and also played in adult leagues there. And I did some cycling and some other things too, but those were soccer and softball were my big sports.
That's all. And did you ever want to be pro at anything? Did you ever think about it?
I think soccer would have been a direction I would have wanted to go. I coached it as well. I reffed it. I felt like I had a really good understanding of the game. I was fast back then. I was a left wing, and I really enjoyed. I knew when you're good at something, you enjoy it, right? And so I knew I had something, and I really did enjoy it. But there was no option for pro. And so I thought, why should I try to go to a certain school and get onto their team if I can't do anything after that point? So I just kind of said, let's just switch it up and play in adult leagues where it's still fun and you still get out there every weekend or you practice during the week, but not as intense as maybe a college game. But I wonder, it would have been pretty cool if I played.
Yeah. And now our U.S. women's team is so amazing, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many stars.
Oh, so many. And it's so nice to see them. And I think that in a lot of ways, the Olympics, and I know you're you're opening the bar on the day of the opening ceremonies for the 2024 Paris Olympics, right? And like I said, I'm already watching the trials on Peacock. Like, I can't stop. I'm so about the Olympics. People, what sports do you watch? I'm like, every single one. I love every one. If it's on, I'll watch it. The TV runs nothing but the Olympics for the time they're running. I don't watch another thing. But I think the Olympics have been wonderful to give visibility, international visibility to women's sports. And I think that people, if people like to watch it during the Olympics, maybe they'll want to watch something professionally. And I think it's just been fantastic. And I credit the Olympics for a lot of that. But yeah, do you still play at all? Do you play in an amateur league or for fun or?
No, you know what? This is so embarrassing. And I do have to go back. I don't know if I ever would have been able to be a pro. I might have had the dreams to be, but I don't know if I ever would have made it. But, I
think you're good thoughts. I think you might have.
We'll just assume.
We'll assume.
Eddy and I are all about it. You've got 2 fans already.
As long as I got you two, I'm good.
That's right. It. We're all about you.
Yeah. I tried to go back in my 40s and play, and it was as if I had never been on a field or kicked a ball in my life.
Right.
It was humiliating. And so
humbling. We'll say humbling.
Okay, humbling.
Yeah.
Very much so. And so I said, okay, I'm not going to do this. My heart is, I mean, I can watch it and enjoy it just like anybody else, but it's not for me to be out there on the field anymore. So, it's not in the cards.
Is there anything that you do? Do you still consider yourself to be like a sporty person?
Oh, I'm definitely sporty in my brain and my heart.
The cycling you've done.
Yeah, I did the cycling. Yeah, I did the Live Strong ride. I did the California AIDS ride too many years ago.
Wow. Nice.
From San Francisco to LA. Yeah, so I got into that for a while in my adult years, but now at this point, no, I'm a little bit more dedicated to creating the space that we can watch these women athletes and support them rather than me getting out there and doing too much. And I have some physical limitations right now too. So
right, don't we all? Well, you were saying about getting on a soccer field. I'm like, that's how I feel when I get on a bicycle. I'm like, did I once ride this everywhere? I don't even remember being. It's weird how you lose it when you don't use it. Isn't that interesting? How we all get like that. Yeah. Whose idea was it? I mean, who came up first with really wanting to open a bar? I mean, when did that discussion first start? Because it's an enormous undertaking, right? So it's something I imagine a lot of discussions went into before you actually decided to do it.
Well, I think, it was actually a mutual decision in a lot of ways. I knew, in my career, I had a lot of intrinsic value. I had a great run as a teacher of music, and it was fantastic. And Jax, she was going to work and doing great things. But, we would laugh and say, you're not curing a disease, it's the intrinsic value was missing. And so I knew her heart was in sports. I knew she had been talking about opening a sports bar and restaurant, which we are, big restaurant component, for a long time. And I think the conversations just got more and more, positive, and let's do it. I think we're going to do it. As we became kind of connected to some of the other owners of the sports bars that are in fact already open across the country, including Jenny Wynn at the Sports Bra, Jen
Barnes at Rough and Tumble,
and Jillian, who's the owner at a bar of their own in Minneapolis.
Are there just 4? Are there more? Are there a lot of women's owned and women's sports bars?
Those are the 3 biggies that are open. Icarus was open in Salem. They since closed. They were in a kind of a little sleepy town that Salem, Oregon, that didn't have any pro teams nearby. So that potentially played into it. And then, I think we are the 4th, 5th, something like that.
Somewhere in the country.
Yeah. And then there are a lot that are coming though. We've spoken to a bunch of other women's sports bar owners that are brewing in the background, just like we were.
All the major cities really, and internationally as well.
Yes. And we're, that's the beauty of this whole thing. And I love to tell the story because it's there. You would expect there to be some sort of competition between us. And it has been absolutely opposite. Jenny with the sports bra has been so open with her sharing her knowledge and her guidance and how she handled certain things. And Jillian, we went out and saw her in Minnesota, and she was nothing but kind and provided guidance to us and direction.
And continues to do so.
And then Jen Barnes, who's up in Seattle and who's just been so busy. I have a call with her tomorrow to pick her brain on some things. And so we're all putting ourselves out there to support one another and not to compete with one another or be against one another, but to lift each other up and support one another, because we recognize that there should be a women's sports bar in every city.
Yes.
And we're a little part of that process, and we're lucky enough to have gotten started early before the Caitlin Clark thing. We were doing way before that.
I mean, she was brewing too before she was famous.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, we were before the big media rush to her. We were already on our way.
Yeah. It's been going a long time.
Well, I love that you're all supporting each other. And that's the thing. And I know I talk about women supporting women, and I use that phrase a lot. I feel like I use that hashtag a lot, but it's so important that we support each other. I mean, first of all, it's important that all human beings support each other. But because for women, it's a little harder to get a leg up in certain aspects. It's so important that we go out of our way to support each other. And that means as patrons, supporting businesses that are women owned, that are supporting things women are doing, going out and supporting, music that women are playing, and anything you can think of that you enjoy, make an extra effort to support. And even in your personal lives, support your friends. Like, get out there and support your other women, because we are so beautiful and so much stronger when we band together to do things. And there's no reason that there needs to be any competition. There's enough room for all of us to soar.
Yeah. And, to that point, we are doing our best to support other women owned and operated businesses wherever it makes sense to do so. So we have a bunch of wine, for example, that is, women owned winery. We've got some spirits, similar situation, beer. We're going to have 4 women owned tap beers as one of our offerings. And then food, and even gloves, we're using a women owned,
glove production.
Yeah. It's whatever, wherever it makes sense to do so. We're trying to support women and let them know,
lift them up.
We understand. And so why can't we help each other out? And we have nothing against, men. We've got a great group who's helping us turn this space around for us right now, and helped us to get to where we are today. And so we love them too. But if we can support some women-owned businesses and it makes sense to do so, then we're going to.
I agree 100%. And I agree about men too. The way for women to support women is not to hate men.
Right. Exactly.
It's love the men in your life. Be happy for them, for all the things they're doing. Be thankful for the ones who, like, as you said earlier about women, the ones who are evolved and get it, that there's room for all of us. And, love your guys' teams, love your guys that come and help you with things, but also make sure that you support women and that you sort of break out of that cultural programming that we've all been in for tens of thousands of years, that, we're not supposed to support each other. And realize how hard it is for women to do their own thing, no matter what their business is, and support. I mean, I probably have had I'm sure I've had more women guests in my radio career on shows than men, because I understand what it's like, and I always want to give somebody a voice. Yeah. And it's a lot easier for guys to get interviews and be on shows. And it's a shame it's still like that, but it is. And it won't always be like that. Eventually we'll evolve out of that. Mm-hmm. But while we still have it, human beings are still kind of a toddler species compared to other things on the earth. While we're still kind of trying to figure it out, that's, you just make an effort to support things. And I remember you're talking about the Sparks, Jack. I remember 20 years ago when I was on that station that CBS owned, the Howard Stern in the Morning station. The Sparks would give us so many tickets to give away, and it was hard to give them away. People didn't want to go to Sparks games. Yeah. And I remember it was a thing for a while that they were worried about the attendance. Now, thankfully, we're past that. but it's a shame that they had to struggle so much harder to get people there, because sports are sports and a good game's a good game.
Yeah.
And if you're enjoying a good game and you want to see some people being rock stars, it doesn't really matter what gender they are, And
I also think, the exposure to the teams, now that you can get a whole lot of things by streaming, and, the world has opened up in that way. If you pick a team, if you pick an NFL team out of a hat, and you get to know all the players, right, and you begin to understand the rules, and all the things. It's about people ultimately. We really loved, Russell from Seattle, Russell Wilson, the quarterback, and we got kind of really invested in them through him, and he stood for, and all the things. So women are beginning to get enough press and exposure, and they're getting their faces seen and heard on social media, and people are getting to know the players, and that's key.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. I think that is so terrific. And I think it's so terrific great for Caitlin Clark, right? If she's knocking everybody up a peg and people are getting more interested, then that's fantastic, because there will be another Caitlin Clark after that, and another one, and people will just start getting more and more excited about games and teams. And I think that's wonderful. So you were saying earlier, Jax, did you say you're going to have 26 TVs?
Yes, unless I've lost track. I believe we settled on 26 TVs. They're actually getting installed later this week. And so we have a very unique space. It's not kind of like a big box, which a lot of sports bars are, like one big room. This is actually split into three very defined areas. One is a pretty significant patio.
Okay.
That is sort of L-shaped. And then we've got the bar area and some seating downstairs. And then we have this upstairs where we are right now, which is sort of it's sort of like a loft, and we're creating a lounge kind of vibe to it. And you will be able to look across from kind of the rail to 65-inch TVs, for example. And that's just 6 TVs right there. So there are many that are going to be outside on the patio. There will be many downstairs, and then additional ones upstairs too, just to kind of spread it out and make sure that there's something for everybody. And we're spending a little extra to have independent capability, so that each TV can be whatever we want it to be. So it's not tied to, we have to have 5 TVs that are all playing the same thing. So it's very important to us to be able to offer that independence across the TV network.
That's wonderful. Now, and this is maybe an ignorant question, so forgive me if it is. Obviously, the Olympics is going to be off the charts. But then after that, is it going to be hard to find 26 different women's sports things happening at once to televise?
Well, even if we don't have all 26 TVs on separate things, that's okay. We might very logically have multiple TVs on the same thing. We just want the capability, if it were to present itself, to switch things up. But the WNBA finals are coming up. We still have the rest of the women's football league season. We've got
soccer and women's football. There's a women's
tackle football
and flag football, and
tennis is year round. We've got golf year round.
Water polo.
We've got softball. There's rugby.
Volleyball.
I mean, come on, we can go on and on.
I'm so excited. Keep it going.
I think we're going to open some eyes to what actually is out there. I mean, when we announced our grand opening, we said we want to celebrate the women who haven't been celebrated. So reach out to us. And I've received so many emails of people who want to just get their recognition. So we're doing something very special, we feel, for them, for the grand opening, and so that they can have their day. Because who knew that Belmont Shore had a rugby team, a professional rugby team? Right. I never knew it until we started this endeavor and we announced our grand opening.
And we live here.
Yeah,
I'm learning now. Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to celebrate these teams and athletes who haven't had that opportunity.
I think that's wonderful. And are you going to be hosting them sometimes? Like, meet the Belmont Shores women's rugby team tonight, and like they'll all come and everybody can meet them. And and it's great for them because they need people to come to their games too.
Right. We are hoping to kind of open the eyes, and we're going to have watch me parties, not just watch parties, but watch me parties.
Nice.
And we've been reached out to by many, many teams already who want to book our space, whether it be upstairs for team meetings or gatherings, or
Watch parties,
watch me parties or other things. But yeah, we know that we're definitely going to be doing our part to support all Southern California teams, whether it be pro or college or high school or junior high or whatever, AYSO. Come on in. I mean, when I was 9, I wish I had this place to come to after a game on a weekend with my teammates.
The Parks and Rec system here in Long Beach is amazing.
It's huge.
Huge and very, very people are active in it. And so they'll have a place to be celebrated also.
That's fantastic. Now, are you an all ages venue because of the restaurant?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
All ages welcome. Yeah.
That's amazing. Is it harder to have an all ages venue? Is it harder to get it off the ground? I would imagine there are a lot of rules and.
I mean,
not as much as you'd think. You know, the people who are underage cannot sit at the bar.
Okay.
Otherwise, they're welcome, right? They can come in and sit and have food, just like, you know, if you took your family into, I don't know, Chili's, right? They have a bar.
Yes. Right,
so
yeah.
it's actually pretty easy to do.
Fantastic.
And so they can be a part of that as long as there's not a 12-year-old or 6-year-old sitting at the bar. We're legal, and as long as we don't serve
9-year-old athletes,
we're not serving any young people.
Yeah,
exactly.
I checked on the way in.
That leads to my next question: is it that much harder to open a place and have a full kitchen?
You know, when I think back to when I first wanted to have a sports bar, it didn't have a restaurant. I never even thought of having a restaurant. I just wanted the bar space and have that atmosphere. But as we saw the sports bra open up and Rough and Tumble and Bar of Their Own, they all had restaurants attached. And it's better if you can offer. I mean, if you think about it, you want someone to come in and spend a few hours to watch a game in its entirety, at least. And so you got to have food. You have to, have more of an offering.
Yeah, and part of it is that you don't. I mean, I know there are bars that just serve alcohol and they have peanuts for sale or whatever. But we want to encourage people to eat while they're drinking. We're looking into having some kind of shuttle service and things that Long Beach specifically offers to their citizens. So we're going to make it as easy as we can for people to come in and have a few beers over time and not really get to the place where they aren't coherent.
Hopefully be safe.
Everybody wants to
it's a twofold thing, right? It's because I worked in bars my whole life. In my 20s and 30s, I booked live music full time, and my early 40s before I got too busy with radio. So I know the ins and outs of bars because I worked in them, and usually a different one every night. First of all, you don't want people to leave because they're hungry, right?
Right.
You want them to stay and eat, when not have one beer and then think, oh God, I have to go get something to eat, and then they might not come back. Yeah. The second thing is, like you said, Emme, you don't want people to drink and not have any food and have it become a problem for them and ultimately you. Yeah. So let people eat while they drink because it's safer.
Yep, for sure.
And I love the idea of the shuttle service. And when I booked music, that was before there was Uber and Lyft. I mean, that's amazing. People don't have to get in a car when they're drinking ever again.
Yeah. We're very grateful for that.
Yeah. And we're actually making a very concerted effort to offer non-alcoholic beverages and have a pretty expansive, we feel like it'll get there, maybe not at the beginning, but an expansive menu of that, and do some coffee drinks and things like that, so that it's not just about the alcohol.
I think that's fantastic. As a non-drinker, I applaud you and I thank you because we all like Sprite from the gun, but occasionally,
no.
Occasionally, it's nice to have another choice when you're a non-drinker.
Yeah, we're doing all kinds of homemade tinctures with fresh fruit and interesting functional spirits and fresh herbs and creative things that are not, cranberry juice with a splash of soda.
It's like if the two lovely white witches down the street opened a sports bar. I'm so excited right now. I can barely stand it.
Nice. We can't wait to see you here.
Oh, I will be there on your opening.
Nice.
It's in my calendar. I just put it. I put it in my calendar like a month. I finally had to put a calendar together because I started getting super busy, and I'm like, what is on July 26th? And I'm calling all my friends like, what are we doing on July 26th? It's like, I don't know. And then I finally went, oh, I know what it is. It's your bar's opening, and I'm going. So now it's in the calendar, actually with something written down.
Nice.
I cannot wait to come. And I love the idea that you haven't really said this, but I'm just sort of intuiting this from what you've said, that you really want to be a neighborhood bar that people feel good to make a destination, even if there's not something they want to watch. Maybe they just want to go and get some great food and be someplace that's a friendly vibe and a nice atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like a destination for the neighborhood. We all need more of those in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're really creating an inclusive space here in Long Beach. There's a very large LGBTQ plus community. We've hired all kinds of diverse people intentionally, so that we can learn as a community of people to respect each other. It's the restaurant, you'll know this, the restaurant bar service industry can be a little brutal behind the doors.
Yes.
Right? We're having a no yell kitchen. We are having, we're just now learning as a staff, everybody's pronouns. We need to be respectful. We're not going to greet you at the front door and say, hey guys, right this way. We're not going to say ladies, right this way, because it's assumptive, right? So we are training the longer we've been on the planet, the more training we need, thanks. Because the youth are already doing this, right? So, but we're looking to create a space that's safe for our staff and a safe space for our patrons. So
Right. And it's a lot to learn. I mean, I think for folks who are not 25 or younger, learning how to rethink about pronouns is a whole nother. It's like when I was in college and we all had to learn to use a computer. You know what I mean? It's a whole nother thing, and I'm so supportive of it, and I do my best. But it's sometimes you have to go, wait a minute, I shouldn't say that, and I shouldn't assume that, and I shouldn't. I think now the word folks is going to get used so much.
Yeah,
and y'all.
Yes, and y'all, exactly, and y'all. Because it is such a very important thing to people, and it is so important now that we respect that, and it's like you're going to have to be relearning as you're also helping to teach employees, right, how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, they're teaching us, we're teaching them, we're learning together, and we all know that we're going to make mistakes, and rather than sort of coming down on each other, we're creating an environment where we're supportive and we're helpful, and so, we're gently saying, hey, don't forget, or it's they, them, it's just gentle.
It's
just
in
gentle.
The intent, right?
It's in the intent. It's in the respect and the intention all the time. And that's all anybody's looking for, really.
Yeah, it's important. And I think if we don't do that, then we isolate the younger generations, because they are. If you want the younger generations to come in and patron whatever your business is, you have to alter the way that you present to what their world is, which is what our world is becoming, right? Because they're inheriting our world.
Yeah.
And when we were young, we thought our parents and grandparents, had an incredibly narrow view of the planet, of the world, of society, of the community, right? And so we know what that's like. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to think, God, they don't understand. And so we've hired a staff of not just young people, but we have people.
We've hired the right
ages,
people for the role,
all
right?
ages. So there's so much education we have had both in all directions, right? Sorry, we have some guys working.
Yeah.
No, I love the noise.
Occasionally,
you're like things being drilled and created, and the bar is literally going up as we're talking.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
It is, but I do have to say just one thing is that this is the kind of environment that we're trying to create, but we're doing it, we're learning too. And so we're doing it with the help of our chef and our bar manager who are teaching us along the way. And so, younger, a little bit younger generation. And we said, hey, we align with you all, and so help us get there. And so it's definitely a team effort. They understand our approach and what we're trying to create. And
also our front of house manager.
And our front of house manager as well. So our management team.
They're awesome human beings, and we're teaching them from our experience, and they're teaching us from theirs. And that's just all we can ask for. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I have to admit, now I feel kind of like an old fogey, but I've never heard of a no-yell kitchen before. But I think that's beautiful, because why does everybody in the kitchen have to scream at each other? It's not necessary.
Well, it's a hierarchy from many, many, many years ago. And, and the finest kitchens, right, are run in a very hierarchical way. And, that's the way a lot of systems of business have been across the board. If you think of it, it's just that the kitchen is a microcosm. And so we're
at the top scream down.
Huh?
Those at the top scream down.
Exactly. And it just doesn't need to be that way. There's an intensity in a kitchen that sometimes breeds that. You have no time to get all the things done. We need it now. We need it yesterday. We needed it 10 minutes ago. So that's when the, fires get going and people start screaming, and it's crazy. And people go home hating their job, and the work-life balance that everybody's talking about now is not a thing. And it needs to be a thing in the service industry. It needs to. It can happen.
And two things. One, it all comes from you, right? It all starts at the top. So it means that as owners, like sometimes if I'm like, you're in a grunchy mood, or you're really you're worried about something and it's making you stressed, you have to be like, no. It all trickles down from me. I'm going to be lovely, even in the face of whatever is challenging me.
I think we're going to be authentic.
Yeah, we're setting the example. So we are who we are, and I think we're comfortable in our own selves at this point in our lives. And so I think everyone that we're bringing on board hopefully can see that authenticity and humility and all the things, and we'll kind of follow in those steps too.
We're not perfect. We're going to be in a mood. They're going to be in a mood. People are going to, right? But the intention is set. And mistakes will be made, and we will regroup and start again, and regroup and start again.
You already have a plan for outbursts that haven't happened yet.
We have a plan. We have a plan. We have a really key team that really is interested in this work.
I also think opening an establishment in a beach community, people who live on the coast, and I've just relocated here 2 years ago from Los Angeles. I grew up here, and I'm actually now living in the house I grew up in. Because during COVID, I realized that I had these houses and I was never in them, and I was never home, and everything was work. And so COVID forced me to create a work-life balance. And now that I'm back here after 30 something years, and I'm realizing people that live in coastal areas, that work-life balance is very important to them. And so if you want to get great people to work for you, you have to provide some of that, because people that live on the beach, man, we don't want to be stressed and go home crying every night. We want to stay mellow and like a Beach Boys song in our souls. So I think creating that is going to make for great employees, because of that, they're going to come wanting to come to work every day.
We hope so. We hope, we had orientation the other day with a full room, and hopefully, we're letting everybody know we're investing in them, and we want them to stay and grow with us. We want to kind of buck the norm of restaurant industry and culture and do something different. And so we're just trying to do all the different things right now.
I can't even imagine the undertaking that you are dealing with an enormous staff, enormous amount of technology, and from a media standpoint, a large space, adding a restaurant and a full bar and, fruity drinks and coffee drinks and all the drinks. You've taken on a lot, and I admire you both so much for doing it.
We just start all the time.
Yeah.
Wanting to nap. Yeah.
Yes.
In about 5 years, you'll get a nap.
The stress keeps you awake. I'll tell you that. But we're not leading by example with work-life balance too much right now, but we plan to.
Neither am I. and not as much as I should be. I give a nice lecture on it, as you can see, but living it, that's kind of a whole nother thing.
That's what we should be doing.
It's
That's
the
right.
intent, right?
It's better than it was when I lived in LA. I'll say that. Tell me about what's going to happen on the opening night. What does that look like? And then, and I imagine the opening ceremonies will be all over the TV for the Olympics, which makes me very happy. And what can people expect when they come on your first night?
We're getting a lot of questions about wanting to make reservations. So for one, our grand opening is at 4 p.m. and at 3 p.m. people can come and check in with the host to get into the queue for when we are done with our ribbon cutting ceremony. And part of that ceremony includes several things. One is we're going to have a kind of freestyle artist, LA Hope dealer, Corey Maddie, who graciously painted this freaking awesome mural for us. He's going to be painting some black WNBA basketballs, live while people are here. We're going to have a photo booth situation. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we're doing something really special to acknowledge the athletes and teams that have been around for a while in Southern California. And so then after the ribbon cutting, come on in for Olympics and food and drink.
We're calling it the first annual opening
The
ceremony of the
inaugural.
Olympics. Yeah, inaugural. So, after the ceremony, then people will come in, have a few drinks, and by the time they've probably eaten and hung out a bit, the opening ceremony will be on all the TVs with the sound on. And the beauty of the Olympics, of course, is that for the most part, we're all on the same team.
Yes.
So that's kind of
that. Yes.
So that's going to be an awesome experience. And then, we turn around and wake up the next day and we're on. We're open at 9 a.m. We're staying open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. because we're trying to respect the Paris time. By the time it's 9 p.m. here, nothing's, they're done. So we'll be open 7 days a week for the Olympics, and then we'll go to a modified, not a modified, this is the modification, a more standard set of hours.
Oh, so you'll go like later hours at night, more bar hours, more bar restaurant hours?
Yeah, we're thinking 11 to 11. But Monday Night Football is going to come up pretty quickly. And so where we thought we were maybe going to be closed Mondays, we might do like a half day and be open for those games, along with the women's sports that are on that night, of course. So mostly we're looking at 11 to 11.
And if people are interested in finding out, what things in this particular thing, a sports bar with specific women's sporting events, we'll have to be modifying our hours weekly, really. So
based on the game or the event or the championship or whatever.
Follow us on IG. We're going to go ahead and shoot up the schedule for the week at the beginning of each week.
It might be daily.
Happening daily.
Yeah,
every day. I meant daily. You imagine a full week one, it would be this small.
Yeah.
So daily.
We're doing our whole schedule daily, so just hang tight.
So they can see what's happening every day.
Yeah.
Where's the best place people can reach you, and what is the address of the bar and where are you located?
So I think our Instagram account, watchme_sportsbar, will get you to us, and then our Facebook account. We try to have the same information in both places. Our website, we try to keep that up to date too, watchmesportsbar.com. And the address is 6527 East Pacific Coast Highway in Long Beach. And if someone's trying to come to us, they really should map to the BevMo, which is right next door, because otherwise Google Maps takes you to the further lot.
Yeah, they take you strange places. We're on the corner of 2nd and PCH in the marketplace.
Okay. Everybody likes the idea of just mapping to the BevMo. I mean, that's the
come on, why not?
Everybody knows where the BevMo is, so that's the
site on purpose.
I don't even drink, and I know where the BevMo is, so because I got to BevMo others. So it's fantastic. I am so honored to have you here. This is so much fun, and maybe after the Olympics, we'll touch base again, and maybe you could come back and we'll talk a little bit about what the experience was like through the games and what it's going to be moving forward. And I'm definitely going to see you on the 26th, and I'm so excited to be there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for having us, Sheena.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here. What a joy to have you. It's the Watch Me Sports Bar in Long Beach. Thank you to Jax and Emme for being here. Fantastic owners of a fantastic venue. What an honor to have them. Thank you to Parapod TV, who always hosts our show on the Roku channel, iHeartRadio, and so many other places. And of course, to my engineer and producer, Emery, you are the wind beneath my wings, and I adore you, my friend. If you missed any of those links, I'm at sheenametalspiritual.com. And you can also find me everywhere on social media at Sheena Metal. That's Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and X. Please follow me there. And also, if you just have any questions or you want to stay in touch, make a new friend. Let's get to know each other. My phone number, 818-437-0886. Please text me, and I would absolutely love that. Until I see you next time, seek peace, live in love, lead with kindness, embrace unity, always work to raise your vibration, and know most importantly that you are loved and you are loved, and you're so loved by me. I'm Sheena Metal. This is the Sheena Metal Experience. I'll see you next Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific time right here on Parapod TV. Take care of yourselves. Have a lovely week. Namaste.
Mm-hmm.